John Thorman has been in the macro premix business since 1968. He has been a leader in this industry, developing products to meet the nutritional needs of today's pigs and innovative solutions to many of your feed quality problems. Realizing the financial benefits of a controlled and restrictive feeding program, he formed Macroblend in 1988. Since then, Macroblend has focused its efforts on helping farmers incorporate this technology to increase their profitability.
An average pig requires 325 kilos of feed to take it from 28 days of weaning to 170 days to market. An average pig doesn't need that much feed. 20 to 25% of your feed is being wasted. The pig doesn't need it for growth. His system can't handle it. A chunk of your profit just turned into manure and was wasted. How much longer can you afford this kind of waste? Who knows exactly how much feed your pigs require? That's the question, isn't it?
I guess one of the things that we really appreciate about Macroblend is the technical knowledge of their field staff. Pig farming is a really complicated business, and it's good to have specialists that are willing to come into the barn, help identify problems and find solutions to the problems. And if you were to ask me, I guess I would say that Macroblend really knows pigs.
This is a program that is trying to monitor and manage the most crucial input to pig production, feed, in trying to more effectively develop a profitable way of converting feed to food. All power to them. It's the type of programs that we need to wrestle with.
Since implementing the Macroblend restricted feeding program 3 years ago, we've realized a number of benefits. The most significant has been our reduction in feed intake, which has saved us approximately 25% of our total feed. Instead of our silo being empty at the beginning of June, it's now empty at the beginning of September. We've also realized an increase in index of 2 points from 105 to 107, and our kill-out has gone from an 80% to an 82% level. And we have also been able to reduce our days to market by approximately 10 to 15 days. The Macroblend restricted feeding program has really worked for me.
Macroblend's controlled feeding program for my sows has saved me approximately 100 kilos per sow per year, including boars, and therefore an approximate saving of 15 ton of sow feed per year.
Macroblend is a company that's made drastic changes in this barn, an average barn environment by my own consideration. The restricted feeding, in this particular case, has cut my feed cost by $14 per pig, with a feed conversion of 2.7, a daily gain of between 1.5 to 1.6 pounds per day, and mortality has been decreased by 50% over the previous feed that I was using prior. Also, the service that I've received from Macroblend has been very prompt and very helpful.
Voluntary energy intake always exceeds the requirement for lean meat deposition. The excess energy is laid down as fat, and that costs you money in terms of poor feed conversion ratios and poor carcass indexes.
Traditionally, you and other pork producers have had to develop your own feeding guidelines. Most cases, it's been a matter of letting your pigs decide for you. As a result, you allow your pigs to access to feed 24 hours a day on self-feeders. Another approach has been to floor feed your pigs according to your guidelines. Some of you want the feed cleaned up within 20 minutes after feeding, while others will allow 1 to 2 hours. Yet some feel that if it's cleaned up by the time you feed them again at night, that this is sufficient. All sorts of trial and error approaches. But your guidelines are determined by feed prices, market prices, and what your peers tell you to do.
The first thing that impressed me with Macroblend, we've been running the liquid feeding system for approximately 1 year, and within the first month on the Macroblend feeding system, I learned more about what our feeding computer could actually do than I had in the entire year previous.
All sorts of trial and error approaches, but this has changed. The basic genetic potential of your pigs can now be determined. Macroblend offers you their Profit Partner Feeding Program that is designed to meet the exact needs of your animals under your feeding conditions, providing maximum growth, good health, and optimum profitability without adding days to market.
There are many challenges facing pork producers. Animal rights issues, free trade, countervail duties, environmental issues, lower prices, and integrations. These are serious problems. They are real problems. Can you see where they're heading? You are being forced to produce pork cheaper. How are you going to cope with these kind of issues?
You can keep your operation profitable by controlling your basic inputs. And how can you do that? You can use the Macroblend Profit Partner Feeding Program. What's that? It's a feeding program designed by Macroblend that allows you to get control over your feed costs. It allows you to get the maximum genetic potential from every pig on your farm. The results? Improved sow performance, improved piglet performance, improved indexes, improved kill-out percentage, reduced feed costs, and improved profits. Best growth, a healthy herd, and you save on valuable time and energy as well.
That means precisely the right amount of feed fed per pig per day, taking into account feeder space, water availability, stocking density, sex differences, and all the other variables affecting your operation.
Okay, when we started with Macroblend on the restricted feeding program with the liquid feeding in the finishing barn, our consumption, or the feed we were feeding, actually dropped about 1 ton to 1.5 tons a week with the same amount of hogs in the barn. There was no effect on the days, and our index has since we've begun, has slowly climbed upwards about 2 points. We're up to about 109, 110 now.
With our genetics, we've been good getting 150 days to market with 108 index, and we've been really pleased with the service.
What you get is truly impressive. Early identification of disease challenges, identification of mold and mycotoxins, and solutions to them, assistance in overcoming stress and other management issues that are consuming your profits, accurate calculation of profitability for different feed ingredients and different feeding programs, increased profitability, reduced costs, time saved, the best results possible from your feed dollar.
You get feeding recommendations designed to match your individual operation.
Restricted feeding works.
A couple of months ago, we had terrible problems in our barn. It was not fun working here. The sows were not milking well. They had no udders. They were very restless, and lots of cows in the little pigs, late furrowing. We really didn't know what to do about it, but Macroblend identified it as a mycotoxin problem. So they changed our formula, and since that, the improvement is tremendous. We see the little piglets nursing well again. The sows have good udders. They are all coming in good time, and it's really a pleasant thing to work in the barn again now when things are going so well. We're really thankful to Macroblend for working with us. We've always had their help in the past too.
I'm impressed with Macroblend's service. Their field and sales staff have been very helpful to me. They've provided me with some helpful hints for my management and my production.
We're Macroblend of Cambridge. We are the controlled and restricted feeding specialists for swine. We've over 20 years experience in our business. We're research driven and provide the latest nutritional improvements to our clients. Our goal is to help you maximize the genetic potential of your pigs and increase your profit. We accomplish this with Macroblend's Profit Partner Feeding Program.
We at Ridgetown have been involved with the research in this area for a number of years. We started with some preliminary studies in the 1970s and carried on with more detailed studies in the 1980s. With growing pigs, the story has been less clear for the industry and needs more details brought forth. And certainly we find that with a controlled or scaled feeding program, that we do benefit in a number of ways without sacrificing on growth if it's done properly. And what we're finding is certainly that index is improved, the leanness of the carcass, which benefits the producer as well as the consumer. The attempt that we're trying to do here is to scale the feeding program to match the genetic potential of the animal to grow. And in doing so, we improve feed conversion, which is very important as far as economics is concerned. And of course, the other very important economic trait is to cut down on the excess energy going into the animal, controlling the fat content of the carcass, and thus improving carcass index.
The Macroblend controlled feeding program works for me.
The implementation of restrictive feeding and the resulting improvement in feed utilization are certainly a means to keep you competitive in this challenging business.
Macroblend's profit partner programs increase profits from $6 to $16 per hog. That's more than $20,000 a year for an average herd of 100 sows farrow to finish. It's called controlled and restrictive feeding programs because it allows your hogs exactly the right amount of feed, tailored to your operation. It makes Macroblend and your sales representative your partner in generating new and improved profits for your operation.
Restrictive feeding really works for us.
Macroblend's Profit Partner Feeding Program is designed to reduce your feed inputs, lower your costs, and maximize your profits. If you're serious about staying in the pork industry, it's time you took control of these issues. Now is the time to become a profit partner and stop spreading your profits around.
Call Macroblend today.